"Why did you stop singing?" Eze said. Ngozi immediately started running and the man followed her. She could not run fast and he caught up with her. "Leave me alone," she said, panting. "Go back to the festival and leave me alone." A long time ago, in the village of Ayuku, there was a princess named Ngozi. She was the first child of King Obinna and Queen Ugomma. Unlike her siblings, Ngozi was born different. She was born with an extraordinary large ear, but she had a very beautiful eyes. The day she was born, her ears were so large that the nurses burst into laughter, while some were shocked, but some melted because of her big round eyes. The queen was so weak after childbirth that she did not get to see her child until the next day. When Ngozi was presented to her parents the next day, the king and queen were shocked to their bone marrow, but they could not do anything. This beautiful child that was looking so weird had chosen to come through them. Growing up for Ngozi was not a pleasant one. When she went out to play, the villagers nicknamed her Elephant Ears, and when her siblings wanted to taunt her, they would call her the same name the villagers called her. As a result, she took to wearing head tie frequently and was so sad most of the time. As a teenager, her ears did not change. She looked odd because of her very large ears, and no one wanted to associate with her. Most of the time, she would become so sad because she felt alone. She wondered why she was born different, and this began to make her question her existence. Then, as a young adult, her siblings all got married, but she remained unmarried because of her unique ears. Because she was royalty, the villagers dared not mock her openly, but she could see from their eyes how they mocked her. What people did not know about Ngozi was that she had the unique gift of hearing people's innermost thoughts. Her parents and siblings were unaware of this gift, and she decided to keep it to herself. As she moved through the villages, some villagers began to whisper quietly about her unusual ear. Some would say, "I heard that her mother slept with an elephant to conceive her." Others would say, "Did you hear that she feeds on grass because she feels like an animal?" "No, not an animal, like an elephant." Ngozi will quicken her step and run into her room or into the nearest woods to cry. She felt life was unfair to her. King Obinna and his wife were troubled about their daughter's look. Several times, they tried setting up arranged marriages for her, but nobody was interested. Some came because she was beautiful, but as soon as she removed her headgear and they saw her ears, they would take off and run for the shock of their life. Ngozi believed that marriage would probably not be an option for her, because any man who agreed to marry her would just be doing so because of her status and not because they really loved her. Ngozi always desired to be loved by someone or anyone she married. Although she was generally unhappy with her life, she was able to find a bit of happiness from singing. Princess Ngozi had a very lovely voice, and her voice could make the sick heal. With her lovely voice and ability to hear people's thoughts, she knew when someone was sad, as she would sing to the person's hearing, and this would oftentimes gladden the person. Oftentimes, she would hide and begin to sing to the beats of any song in the wood. There she felt safe without the prying and judging eyes of the villagers. There she could remove her headgear and be free. Whenever there were festivals, Ngozi would look for a lonely spot close enough for her to hear the music so that she can sing to her heart's content. When the melody came out of her mouth, she harmonized with the music that was playing. She was always hiding because she did not want anyone to mock her. It was the end of another successful yam planting season, and it was time for the annual yam festival. As usual, everyone was happy. The air was filled with excitement and jubilation. Some people could not wait to showcase their best yam for the season, while some were ready to showcase their best dresses, while some others were polishing their dance steps and practicing endlessly, while the ones who love food were waiting for the variety of meals that were presented on that day. Ngozi, on the other hand, was only interested in finding a lonely spot so that she could sing along with the beats from the festival. Finally, she found a lonely spot where she could hear the drums and the flute clearly. Then she began to sing with a beautiful smile on her face, not bothered by what anyone thought about her. However, she soon noticed that a sound was coming close and closer to her. It was becoming loud and louder, but she decided to ignore it as she was engrossed in her singing. Suddenly, she heard a sound just directly behind her, and she turned back and saw a man playing the drum with a huge smile on his face. The man stopped playing and asked, "Why did you stop singing?" Ngozi immediately began running, and the man followed her. She could not run so fast, and so the man caught up with her. "Leave me alone," she said, panting. "Go back to the festival and leave me alone." The man looked at her kindly, wondering why she rejected him at first sight. Then he said, "I got lost in the sound of your beautiful voice," he said. "I was trying to concentrate on beating my drum, but my legs kept moving towards the sweet melody of your voice. So I decided to support you with my drum." Ngozi took a better look at him and then realized he was from another village. She thanked the man for drumming for her, then directed him to the village square. But the man insisted he would rather continue playing for her. And without Ngozi's approval, he began playing the drum again, urging her to sing. When Ngozi saw that he was not going to give up, she began to make small lip movements to the tune of his beats. After all, what do I have to lose, she thought. He was a stranger, and she would never meet him again, and he also did not know about her strange ears. After a long while, Ngozi stopped singing. "Thank you, Mr. Drummer. I really enjoyed myself," she said to him. "My name is Eze, not Mr. Drummer," he answered. Ngozi told him her name, and then she had to return home. But Eze pleaded with her to come back the next day, and Ngozi agreed. As she was leaving, she could hear Eze's innermost thoughts saying, "What a beautiful girl with a lovely voice. I hope she will make me happy by marrying me someday." Ngozi blushed but quickly became sad when she remembered her ears. On her way home, she thought about the drummer man called Eze, wondering why he was so nice to her and even wanted to spend more time with her. To Ngozi's understanding, it was unusual for a handsome man to like her. All night, she could not stop thinking about him, but she tried her best not to get too excited. Also, Eze, on the other hand, could not stop thinking about Ngozi. In the evening that followed, Ngozi set out to meet her new friend Eze. When Eze set eyes on Ngozi, he was so excited, and Ngozi was excited to see him too. They talked for a long time and got to know each other, and afterwards, he drummed for Ngozi to sing. Days turned into weeks, and weeks turned into some few months. They kept on meeting each other at their usual spots, and to both of them, it was the best time of their day. Finally, Eze told Ngozi how he felt about her, and Ngozi already knew because she could read his thoughts, but she didn't just want to jump into any conclusion. She was happy when he finally voiced out. She also felt the same way about Eze too. Then Eze said, "I can come with my people in the next market day to see your parents," he said, "so we can get the ball rolling." Ngozi never knew that a day like this would ever come. But unfortunately, she jumped up and told Eze she was not in love with him. She knew once he saw her ears, he would run for his life. Ngozi ran off to the palace and locked herself up for days. She was so sad, for she knew that if not because of her odd-looking ears, Eze would have been her future husband. And so she cried and cried and did not eat anything and then became sick. Eze asked around who Ngozi was and finally realized that she was a princess. He came knocking at the palace gate, but she refused to see him despite her parents' plea. And then, after days and weeks of begging, Eze returned back to his palace, sad that Ngozi rejected him. After some few months, Ngozi decided to come out of her shell, but this time she was not looking so well, but she had recovered. The first thing she discovered was that her ears had reduced in size. What she did not know was that roasted peanuts were the cause of her large ears. When her mother was pregnant for her, her mother, the queen, ate too much roasted peanuts, and she, as a child, also ended up eating so much peanuts. She loved peanuts so much that she ate peanuts more than food. But when she was sick, she couldn't eat it, and after she became better, she lost her appetite for roasted peanuts and no longer ate them. Ngozi could not believe her ears and her new look. It was a dream come true. But that was not the only thing that changed about Ngozi. Her face had become more defined. Her beauty was even so evident that even the blind could see. She realized that wherever she went, she was the center of attention and men would always glance at her. Then, the wealthy men among them in the village began to approach her for marriage. But Ngozi's heart only belonged to just one man, Eze. She searched and searched for Eze, but she did not know which village he came from, and this made her grieve, for she had pushed the love of her life away. After months of searching, Ngozi decided to accept her fate, that she would be single for life, but she decided to use her gift of singing to make people happy. Though her large ears had gone, she still had the gift of hearing people's innermost thoughts. One day, while she was in the woods singing at her favorite spot, she heard a man passing by. He was deep in thoughts, and he was thinking about how he poisoned Prince Eze of Ngozi village and how he was waiting for him to die so that he could take over the throne as king. Immediately she heard his thoughts. She ran home to her parents, pleading with them and telling them what she heard. At first, her parents were worried about their daughter and asked her how she knew about such sensitive information. She told her parents that she overheard some men conversing and not that she could read people's thoughts. After a while, her parents decided to yield to her request and then sent up some guard to follow her to Ngozi village. Ngozi suspected that maybe, or just maybe, Eze is that man she had been looking for. When she got to Ngozi village, she asked around for Eze and they pointed to a palace. She was surprised, but then she decided to go in. When she got to the palace was sad and gloomy. And then she inquired that she wanted to see Eze, and they said, "Is it Prince Eze?" And then her eyebrow lifted up. When she asked again about seeing him, they told her that he was dying and there was no cure for him. Ngozi immediately requested to see him, telling them that she was his friend from the nearby village. When she was brought to him and she saw him, her heart felt, for he was truly her beloved Eze. She quickly ran to his side, but he was too weak. She ran off into the bush and sang to the plants, for she could hear plants talk. The plant then guided her to a precious flower, and one of the plants spoke to her to use the plant to heal Eze and told her how to prepare a herb from it. She thanked the plant and ran back to the kitchen palace and quickly made a herb from the plant. And then she gave some to Prince Eze. And then he vomited all that he had taken and then became a bit better. She sang for him until she nursed him back to health. Prince Eze was extremely grateful that Ngozi came to his rescue. She could hear his heartbeats and his innermost thoughts. He was saying to himself, "Why would this beautiful creature not marry me? What did I do to her? Am I not good enough to marry her?" Then without thinking, she blurted out, Yes, I will marry you." Prince Eze was shocked, was so happy that she said so, and then they hugged each other. For the first time in a long while, she felt safe and told him how she knew about his ill health, but she never told him that she could read people's thoughts. Prince Eze's father was the king of Ngozi, and then Prince Eze told his father summoned all the men in the village, and Ngozi was able to fish out the man. Alas, it was Prince Eze's stepbrother Turuchi. Eze was the first son to the throne, and Turuchi was the second to the throne. But Turuchi wanted Prince Eze out of his way so that he could be crowned king, and then he poisoned his stepbrother. When the king learnt of this, he sent Turuchi on an exile, never to return again, else he'll be locked up for life. After some few months, Ngozi and Prince Eze married and lived happily ever after.